Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a Hare Over a Hill. Um, as the title suggests, I'm doing a casual review of the recently released Wicked movie, um, and my general thoughts on it. Um, as a quick little reference on it, uh, the actual movie, it's looking like a generally good reviews here on Rotten Tomatoes. Uh, I don't general professional reviewers are giving it 97, a 90% audience reaction, 96%. So it's been generally good overall. Um, and my general perceptions of the actual film itself has been generally good. For what it is, it's good. And as a note, my actual relationship to the actual movie itself is this: I have not read the original book, I have not seen the original play. Um, so there's that. Obviously, uh, overall, I loved it. Um, I really enjoyed it. It was, for me, a solid 7, 8 out of 10. Out of um, it, if you get the opportunity or the chance to see it in the theaters, go for it. But you're not gonna lose anything, I think, if you see it at home. I think the biggest thing is going to be what I got from it was that um, like when as the movie played, there was people who were definitely more familiar with the original content than I was, who watched it and in the audience wooing and cheering. And I was talking to, I watched it over the weekend. One of my coworkers watched it over the weekend, and we ended up talking about it. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I saw so many reference and the uh, spoiler, but not nearing the end of the movie. There was like a small scene in which I got the impression that the original two actresses of Alphaba and Glinda appeared in the movie, and had a minor, not minor, but minor role in the film. It's like, oh, and when they appeared on screen, there was like a crowd of people opposite end of the theater. That's like, woo! It's like, oh, okay, oh, I think those are supposed to be like the original actresses behind the. Okay, so that I can totally get into. And as a note, I walked into this theater mostly blind. Like, I was somewhat vaguely familiar with the general plot, um, not really knowing the. Like I said at the very beginning, this is really my first true interaction with anything Wicked. Um, but on top of it, I usually if I'm going and seeing a movie, I'm at least I've seen a trailer, I've seen a little bit, I've interacted with it more than just, oh, I've seen a poster and 30 seconds of a trailer. Point is, um, but overall, I do have some general things with it that I have general criticisms. The first, I don't consider this a spoiler, mostly on the fact that it happens in the first 10 minutes of the film, and I'm somewhat disappointed with this. Is that the film, when it does the And here comes the title, Wicked Part 1. I was, I saw this like, Part 1? Or they gonna do like, Part 1, Intermission, Part 2. And it's like, that's what I thought when I originally saw it. It's like, maybe there's a Part 2 and it's the Act 2, and it's gonna be the. I walked into the movie expecting the entire play, and that's not what I got. If you're coming into this movie not barely knowing anything, um, the entire thing is literally just Act One, because um, mild spoilers for a play that is. Let's see. Let me double check. Yeah, I don't care at the moment. Then, it's the original novel was released in '95, and the musical was premiered in 2003. So, a 20-year-old play. I was like, I like because I like if you're worried about spoilers, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try to minimize it. Point is, the big show-stopping thing, that the Defying Gravity song, that's like, okay, I thought this song would have happened a little bit earlier on this musical, definitely as we were going on. This 2 hour and 40 minute show, it's like, I thought this musical would have like had this song. I thought it would have premiered a little bit earlier. And as I'm going through this, it was at nearing the end that, like afterwards, like there were like a lot of minor plot points. It's like that I was getting the feeling that's like why a few of these points seem unresolved, and oh, here's Defying Gravity right at end of, like, in which the main actress, excellent job and whatnot, but it's like right at the end of the film, it's like this does not make sense. So when I got home, I had to like, I literally googled it, and yeah, I spoiled myself on Act 2, but I found out that it's like, oh, right when this play and the movie ends is the end of Act 1. And I looked it up. The play is supposed to be maybe about uh 2 hours and 40 minutes in total length. Yeah. Uh New York theater guy, how long is Wicked the musical? Wicked runs 2 hours and 45 minutes with intermission. As a reminder, the movie in total is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Even if I'm being extremely gracious and saying the end credits is 10 minutes, in reality it was probably around 5. The movie, which is only Act 1, is nearly as long as the entire play. I am sorry. And here's the thing, I was walking into the movie expecting the entire play, like I said. And I only got part 1, Act 1, in which apparently part 2, Act 2, is going to be released next year, apparently. And here's the thing. I really can't be like, sit down and say, I have no experience with the play and whatnot, and I really cannot judge the movie versus the, uh, the play and whatnot, but I had to like, sit here and be wondering what the hell is going on here unless you're extremely familiar. People, most people who just come in somewhat like expect like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the entire play. That has been like everything from like Les Mis, uh, Cats, like the original filming of Cats in the '90s, even like the terrible Cats revival that happened a bit ago. Uh, like anytime they've adapted a play into a movie, yeah, it's gonna be slightly chopped down, but you expect when you walk into a movie that is an adaptation of a play in some form, may it be just a camera shot of the actual play itself or an adaptation, you expect the entire play, and this is not what you're getting. And thusly, it's like, oh, you want to see them, and thusly, it's like, oh yeah, you want to see the play? Here's a movie cut out of it. For this, it's like, hold on a moment. This is going to be a somewhat bad excuse, an example, but it's like, okay, if like you want to see Spirited Away, like live on the stage adaptation of it. Granted, you should probably know it's Japanese, but it's one of those things of, oh yeah, you want to see the play, but it's like for some reason you aren't in an area that is being premiered in. For this, and it's like, and you get a similar runtime. Great. For this, it's one of those things of like, oh yeah, you want to go and see the play? Hey, uh, it's either dedicate, go somewhere far away and dedicate 3 hours watching the musical, or potentially dedicate 4 to 5 hours watching the movie at home. That is my main like thing. Apparently, Act Two is much shorter, but it's still one of those things of like, why? Like, one of the things that I really enjoy about like movie adaptations of musicals, in part, is that it's like, oh yeah, it allows people to watch these things at home. But needless to say, I really love the uh, uh, play and whatnot. The general diversity that is happening in there, like, yeah, in the 1939 version in of the plan of the Wizard of Oz, it's like, oh, there's not that the only real diversity there is the mumkins and whatnot, but it is overall like everyone is white, and it's like, well, it's the 1930s and whatnot. Okay, but it's one of those things that's like, here I'm watching this, like, I'm enjoying it, and I can completely ignore all the races, but it's like, oh yeah, this is uh, a diverse set of people, but then it's also supposed to represent an entire freaking country. I can get behind this. Um, but with the only exception being like the Mumkins are supposed to be small. Like apparently, even in the original like L. Frank Baum like books, they are supposed to be as tall as young Dorothy. There's like at most of these like guys are supposed to be at most 4.5 feet tall. So in the 1939 like hiring a boatload of little people made sense. Here it's like, oh, maybe they'll just CG like, okay, it's a bunch of normal sized people. Maybe they're going to CG them to be smaller. No, it is normal ass sized people. And or it's like maybe they'll CG this. It's like okay, it makes sense why they maybe hire normal size actors because they are people in some scenes that are like I'm a mom, like I'm in the scene of normal humans and yet I'm a mumkin. Sorry for the bad pronunciation, but you know what I mean. It's one that's like, why is that? Okay, whatever. I can suspend my disbelief for this, but for me, it was one of those like there was one little person in the entire movie that I noticed, and it was in the Emerald City. Needless to say, besides small gripes, I give the overall film a solid 7 or in a solid 8 in that it captures the musical well, it adapts it well, and I learned this is the first time that I'm like, fun fact, I've heard the song popular like from the musical before, but because I heard it completely divorced of the musical and completely divorced of Ariana Grande, I didn't even realize the song uh, was originally from Wicked. So that was quite fun to actually like, oh, I recognize that song. Wait, this that song is from this musical? Jeez. But needless to say, after watching this movie, I am wanting to watch part two, mostly on the back that's like there are some really undefined. There are moments that wasn't captured. There were plot lines that were clearly not resolved from part one, but that was like, oh, now I understand why, and that's mostly on the fact that that this is Act One. They're supposed to be resolved in Act Two, so makes sense why they weren't resolved in in this movie. Again, minor gripe of like, why aren't these things being resolved? Oh, they are supposed to be resolved in part two, in Act Two, and we only got Act One in this movie. Why couldn't we have an entire play in one movie? Now I'm rambling. Well, I always ramble in these. But if you enjoy my ramblings, leave a like. Um, check a link down below is some other casual reviews I've done. And leave a comment about your thoughts about Wicked and ramble on yourself. As always, folks, see you around.